It's time to pull those belts tight, race fans. The front stretch is coming at you, presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs. Now, here's Dan Taylor and Dirk Houston.
Well, good morning to you, race fans, and welcome to the front stretch, presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs, online at joeskarting.com. Fast-paced white-knuckle racing just across the river on 23rd Avenue in Council Bluffs. Get over to Joe's Karting today. Do yourself right with a little bit of fast-paced white-knuckle racing. And when you get done, you can head over to Quaker Steak and Lube. Obviously, no NASCAR on today or last night, but you can maybe even catch some of the replays from MAV TV. I think there should be. Is there preseason still on right now, right? For football, or are they regular season by now?
What's football?
I don't know.
But I'm going to have withdrawals from the racing come Monday.
Get over to Quaker Steak and Lube for all of the action today, and get over to Joe's Karting today to create your own action. Maybe you can get up underneath somebody, get them a little loose, and put them into the wall.
Well, I tell you, the action we don't need is like in that IndyCar race at Pocono the other day.
Oh, my God. Stan, did you see that?
Ugly.
That IndyCar wreck, that is just crazy.
Ugly.
You heard him there, the voice of the Speedway, Stan Cisar of Eagle Raceway, and the voice of the RaceSaver Nationals coming up this weekend. It's here. All year long, we've been talking about the RaceSaver Nationals, the great racing we saw last year, all the stuff that's coming up this weekend, and it's here. It's all of a sudden you blink and it's here.
Boom.
Yeah.
Hey, Dan, before we get too much into that RaceSaver, we lost another local racer this past weekend. I know Stan will know the name from Sunset, but Melvin Leonard passed away.
I heard that.
Longtime car owner for
Larry Robinson Jr.
For Bubba Jr.
Yep.
And they had a lot of success together. Melvin did some own racing in his own right, but he passed away this week, so condolences out to he was as much a Robinson as anybody else. So,
honorary Robinson.
Yeah, so his family and the Robinson family, they're all pretty close.
Yeah, I knew Melvin well, and he was one of those guys that decided after a couple of years that he was better working on the cars and owning the cars than he was behind the wheel, and he's kind of like me in some respects. You like being a part of somebody out there racing and enjoy success more than the need to be back behind the wheel yourself. You know, so.
Well, rest in peace there, Melvin, and our thoughts and prayers go out to his friends and family as they're dealing with this time. Well, everything kicks off this coming Thursday. It's not just a practice night anymore, Stan.
Yep. Last year we had, and it looks like this year again, we had, I think, there's over 40 entrants that are pre-qualified to race in that Jake Ida Memorial Race of Champions. To even get the invitation in that, you have to be a track champion, a series champion, in the top 20 in national points, or in the top 5 in your track points or series points for the 2018 season. And last year, I believe we had 6 qualifying heats. We ran them after all the races on Friday night. There was 14 heat races and I believe 12 feature events, all sprint cars, all night long. It was, and by the time, be honest with you, everybody was probably pretty ready for the races to be over with, but we still had qualifying action. Loaded those guys up onto a track that had been through the mill.
Had been used.
And
it had a little Hoosier Racing tire on it.
At least. And but got her done, but we got out of there pretty early on Saturday morning after the qualifiers were done. So we come up with a plan in the off season, to create a little interest in that Thursday night. Of course, we've got a practice session going on from 6 to 9, and then after that, they're going to have the qualifying races. And usually, I'd say there'll probably be 4 to 6 qualifying races. Once again, they'll take the fastest guys. They'll transfer into that 20-lap Jake Ida Memorial Race of Champions. $1,000 goes to the winner, $100 to start. And last year it was Kevin Ramey out of Fort Worth, Texas, picking up the win. He's your current national points leader in the RaceSaver IMCA division, and looks to have a pretty good margin over Tyler Drueke. Druke's trying to hang with him, but
he's had some really bad luck the last couple of weeks. Drueke has.
Oh yeah, and Kevin's pretty tough old bird. He was a former ASCS national champion back in his 360 days, and he's racing now for fun. And racing mostly locally down in the state of Texas, but he doesn't miss miss coming up to the RaceSaver Nationals.
So they're putting a big race in front of the big race.
It's a party. Yeah.
Yeah. And the whole weekend is an absolute party, and it's just a big 4 days of awesome racing.
Thing is, we're going to be well over 100 cars like we were again last 2 years, and that's plenty of good race cars. And the kicker is it's going to be the best of the best coming from, like, the last time I think I looked, there was 16 states. From New Jersey, Pennsylvania area, down to Texas, Oklahoma, up to Minnesota, South Dakota, out to California, New Mexico. But our deal, in our 6th annual, it's grown in stature, it's grown in notoriety, visibility. More people know about that race than what they had in the past. Last year was our biggest crowd for the championship, which we finally got in on a Sunday, and we didn't have rain pushing it back or changing the schedule around. Knock on wood. Yep. But
so going back Thursday, open pre-tech and then open practice, and then we'll have the qualifying races for the Jake Adam Memorial.
And this coming Thursday, free admission for the grandstand. So you can come hang out, watch the practice sessions, and then watch some qualifying races. And the guys you'll be seeing are pre-qualified champions. Just to be able to be invited to participate in that race. So
then we come back Friday, August 31st, this coming Friday. Pit pass is $25. Grandstands just $13 for adults, $5 for kids 6 to 12. Kids 5 and under are getting in for free. Everything seems to be kicking off about 5 o'clock with hot laps, and then your first race starts at 6 o'clock. And also coming up that night is a meet and greet opportunity with Thomas Weeks of Misfit Garage.
Yeah, and that's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
From what I've heard about Tom and from what I've seen on the TV show, he's quite a character.
He's Bill Elliott's friend,
and he loves oval track racing. I mean, he's a former champion.
Right, at the Boone Super Nationals.
Yeah, and
absolutely.
In the stock car division, quite a number of years ago, but he's a racer.
Well, not that many years ago.
He's going to hit the ground running. And
yeah.
I mean, and
he's excited. From what I understand, he called Roger and said, "Hey, I want to be a part of this. I hear a lot of things about this race coming up at your guys' track, and we've got some pretty good racers down in Texas, which they do. They're not as good as our racers here in Iowa and Nebraska, but he's got some pretty good racers. So they want to come up and see what's all doing in Eagle, Nebraska.
We had a little over 40 Nebraska entries. I think one of the last times I looked, Texas not too far behind with 29. Mm-hmm. So out of that 100 and some cars, Nebraska and Texas, it's almost like football. A few years ago, they're gonna and they hang tough. I tell you what, those guys, as I said, have hit the ground running. Mm-hmm. And Thomas, he goes to all those area tracks down around Dallas and Houston area and stuff like that. He knows a lot of those guys, and I'm sure he'll have his guys to root for, and it'll be great to meet him and hang out. And I'm sure he'll make the broadcast in the announcing pretty much fun.
Whatever you do, don't let him behind the mic to call a race. I don't think that would be a good thing.
You never know. He's not the one that when you first told me.
Thomas. Maybe, but Tom, no.
No. That's what I was worried about. When somebody goes, that Tom Weeks for a Misfit Garage is coming. I went, oh God, not the Schlurly, not that guy, please no. And they go, no. He's the other one that's kind
Thomas is the brains of the operation, actually.
Much better speaker.
Buyer and a seller.
Yeah.
So that's coming up on Friday. This coming Friday again. Adult tickets just $13. Then what's the format for Friday?
Well, last year. Everybody will draw a number, and you run those heat races straight up. Last year, I believe we had 14 heat races, and the way it shook out, only heat race winners made the A feature that night. Second place finishers made the B. Third place finishers made the C. Fourth place finishers made the D, and so forth. And then you had to work your way through the soup, This year should be more of the same. We can expect 12 to 14 heat races, and then probably at least 10 to 12 feature events. And wow,
you think of 14 heat races for $13. You want to put that into perspective. There are quite a few tracks out there, and I'm talking about more than there should be, that 14 heat races would be a massive show for them.
I like our qualifying format. It makes it tough. It makes it busy, but you get a chance you get 3 chances to qualify for the main event. Some other races, they split the fields. You see maybe 40, 50 cars one night, another 40, 50 cars the next night. All you see is maybe some time trials, some 4 or 5 heat races, a B and an A, or maybe a C, B and an A,
right,
and you're done.
Yep.
And the racing, awesome. No knock. Just a matter of the fact that you get some bang for your buck.
You absolutely do. You get your laps per penny.
Yeah.
Half cent, quarter cent, whatever you want to break it down to. But so again, on Friday night we've got your heat racing action, and then there's features that they have to come through the features.
They come through the features. In our A main event, the top 9 cars will qualify for rows 1, 2, and 3, and that's another thing we mention every year. We start the 35-lap A feature 3 abreast, and there's only one other sprint car race that I know of. That's the Little 500 in Anderson, Indiana, that starts sprint cars 3 wide. And there again, knock on wood, the guys, they mind their manners, and it's been pretty good in recent years. Everybody says, "Oh man, you are crazy." There was a lot of apprehension, but it's a fun deal, and it's a little bit different. And that's what makes us different.
So, a lot of those guys, they, like you said, they were worried about the 3 wide start, but they all kind of seem to understand the same thing. You can't win the race on the first lap, but you can sure as heck lose it.
Yeah, that's for sure.
And if you pile it in there like some guys like to do, you're just going to destroy a lot of cars and not do yourself any good.
The first year we had the RaceSaver Nationals back in 2013. They didn't get they started 2 wide. And they didn't get the first corner. Had 2 of them up on the wing, and one of them being Mike Boston, who had won one of the preliminary features and was the track champion that year. So ended his night early, and you just hate to see that,
So the top 9 guys then in the Friday feature.
In the Friday feature, that's they qualified on their first attempt. They get positions 1 through 9.
On Sunday.
And then we come back on Saturday night and we do the qualifying all over again.
Except for those 9 guys.
Except for those 9 guys. And the unique thing about it is when you come in to draw for your starting positions in the heat race, if you drew in the front half of the field on your first night, you will draw from the back half of the numbers on night number 2. So every out of the 110 to 14 to 15 cars that are there, you're going to have a shot to qualify in positions 1 through 60 on night 1, and then the second night, if you had your chance on night number 1, you're going to be starting from 61 on back in numbers, which will put you probably in the 3rd or 4th row of a heat race instead of the 1st or 2nd row. And as tough a competition as those heat races are, obviously, you can get in a stacked heat race. You can get in one that maybe has some opportunities for you to advance a little easier than others. But at least it makes it fair. You're not dependent on you have to race your way into this deal.
You got your opportunities, and you can't squander them at all.
Most certainly.
Saturday, again, this coming Saturday, adult tickets $15, youth $5 to get in. That's 6 to 12, and then kids 5 and under will get in for free. Looks like everything's going to kick off racing-wise at 6 o'clock, but there's obviously camping available, showers are available. There's going to be a breakfast served on Saturday morning. VIP suites will open up for a luncheon. Gates are going to open up at 3 o'clock, and then pit meeting, drivers meeting, fan zones, all that kind of great stuff that Eagle really does a good job about building up an event and adding a lot of things to do while you're there.
And as of last Wednesday, I believe all the camping spaces with electrical, I believe, are sold out.
Wow.
That was as of last Wednesday. And
Awesome.
I don't know, and they've got quite a number of them. But there will be two kind of camping areas, one on the western side and one on the eastern side of the grounds. And like I said, it's a totally fun deal, and the tailgating is crazy.
And then we come back on Sunday. So again, on Saturday we'll do our heat races again, and then we'll stack up the field for all the features.
Then immediately following that feature event, the top 9 cars in that feature will be rows 4, 5, and 6 in our championship feature. So that will qualify the first 18 cars. Immediately following our A main event will be the Jake Item Memorial Race Champions. That'll be a 20-lap feature, and the fastest 20 out of pre-qualifying will take part in that one. And then it'll be down to the pits to party.
Yeah, party it will be. There'll be live music. What is the drink that they have every year?
The Eagle Melons.
The Eagle Melons. Do you like those?
I might have had one or two.
You might have had one. I had my share that night.
I did find my way back to. I did find my way back to the RV though.
I don't know how.
Not back to Omaha, just back to the
Just
RV.
back to the RV.
Just to the RV. Sunday morning, when they kick things back off on Sunday, as we wrap it up. Adults $18. Children 6 to 12 get in for $5, and then kids 5 and under are going to get in for free. Another big day of action, and then also your last chance qualifiers. You've got all your heat races, a final set of qualifying for the final 3 rows, and then we've got the field set.
We'll be starting back around HIJ, depending on how things play out. A main event will come up through the alphabet soup of features, transferring the top 5, I believe, in each features up into the next feature going forward. And one thing, we'll talk just a little bit about the purse and about some of the awards and prizes and stuff like that. But the neat thing about it is we have also had a non-qualifiers fund that a lot of great fans and businesses have donated additional money to these guys coming in from out of town. I think we're all the way up to the end of the E feature getting additional money over and above the $250 guarantee starting. So that's kind of a neat deal, and it really helps the guys get back on the road, and no matter how their weekend went.
Great Clip's going to be bringing you the driver introduction ceremony, and I've heard nothing but great things from that.
And don't forget, if you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. That'll be coming up on Sunday morning. They've got the charity dodgeball tournament, which has been a hoot the last couple of years, also benefiting the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation, which is a very worthy cause. And like I said, you see a lot of drivers. Jack Dover's been in that. John Carney, Snyder, the guys, Cody. They get teams together. Even guys that are in the support class divisions that are regular Saturday night guys come down. They put their teams together, and they take great pride in beating the sprint car guys.
I bet. Any opportunity they get to rub it in the sprint car guys, they love to do that. So again, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, it's a big 4 days. It's no longer just, you can come on Thursday for practice. You can absolutely come out on Thursday and watch some racing, as they're going to be in the qualifying races for the Jake Ida Memorial Race of Champions. And then payouts, it's getting a little bit higher up there, and a nice payout throughout the entire field. It's not this Dolly Parton purse that Steve Francis is a huge despiser of.
Well, you hear about that, and it's kind of the concept of RaceSaver. I mean, the total purse for the whole weekend of 2 days of qualifying for all the qualifying features and the main event on Sunday. This is in cash. Over $104,000 in cash will be paid out to the drivers. Mm-hmm. And then on top of that, right now there's over $11,000 in product and contingency. And I believe out of that $11,000, an additional $5,000 is going to the A feature winner.
Wow.
They've got an engine builders challenge. Right now there's 4 engine builders participating. Mm-hmm. If your engine would happen to be the winner of that A main event, if you're running one of those 4 engine brands, you get a free engine, less the magneto and injection, a free engine. So you tack that up on top of the $2,500 to win. Mm-hmm. $1,250 to start a main event.
As long as that engine's deemed legal, correct?
Yeah. Well, and that's another deal. We talked about the tech inspection. Going in, you're going to have a pretty level playing field, because they go over those cars pretty long and hard. And they've got tech inspectors from different tracks, different series, different regions of the country. They all come in and they all work together. So you're seeing different people teching all the different cars. Going through the tech shed, so mm-hmm. there's no funny business, and you better have it right before you and some cool prizes and contingency product and stuff like that if you pass tech.
RaceSaver.com for more tickets and information. You can also get redirected by going to EagleRaceway.com. It all kicks off this Thursday with the RaceSaver Nationals. Open practice, then qualifying races for the Jake Ida, and then we start setting the features, and we start setting the starting grid for Sunday with Friday night's action, Saturday night's action. We finish it up on Sunday night.
One other thing, if you wanted to come to all 3 nights, you can save quite a bit of money. I believe it's a $40 ticket
Oh, wow.
that gets you in for all 3 nights of action. That's the biggest bargain in motorsports. For the amount of racing you get to see and the quality of racing you're going to get to see, whether it's 3/4 of a second off this or, it's pretty darn good, tight, very close competition.
Absolutely.
And the thing about it is we've had 16 weekly shows at Eagle this year. We've had 12 different winners out of 16 nights of racing. So that gives you a little idea how tough the competition is. For $40 for 3 nights worth of racing, biggest bargain in motorsports.
Absolutely. You're going to hang out and talk with Stu Snyder, right?
Yep.
All right, Stu Snyder just around the corner. We're going to take a break on the front stretch.
Every race car driver has run into the same problem. It's well past normal parts store closing hours, but you need that one to finish your car. The guys who brought you White Knuckle Racing by the River bring you Joe's Karting Racing Parts and Tire Store. Open until 10 p.m. Monday to Thursday and open until 11 p.m. on Friday and Saturday. A parts store that fits your after-hours schedule, and you can turn a few laps at Joe's Karting while you're waiting for your part to get pulled from their warehouse. joeskarting.com for more information.
We're hooked up in turn 2 and still showing the green flag on the front stretch.
Welcome back to the front stretch. Rolling into turn number 2, and it's time to sit down with one of the guys that has raced at every one of the RaceSaver Nationals, right? You haven't missed one yet, right, Stu Snyder?
Not this one.
Oh.
This one, but we've made every single one that I've been in.
We kind of talked a little bit about it off the air. You haven't made it easy on yourself when you say you've made every one of the features.
Qualified twice, do you?
Yeah, no, I think there's only 1 year I made it easy on myself. And every year since that, we've either come from a fuel disqualification we didn't really ever know what was in the fuel, or a bad pill draw and having to come out of the D feature.
And last year, that was probably my favorite thing to watch, was you coming through that D feature. And I don't know if people understand. I mean, that's a lot of work. It's a lot of work running your heat race and a feature. When you're talking about running your heat race and 5 features, I mean, that's a lot of wear and tear on the car and the driver.
Yeah, it was. We had to try and keep the engine cool after each feature. And the only race that I was able to actually get out of the car after was the B feature. And we basically had enough time to put new tires on it and drop it on the ground, throw some fuel in it, and then we were right back at it for the A feature.
The part that boggles my mind about that is you ran 4th in your heat. And you had to start in
the
D feature.
I know.
Fourth.
I think we started 10th or 11th in our heat and ran up to 4th, and we're in the D feature.
That's what happened to us last year. Started 9th, got to 4th, and ended up in the D. That was on night 1. And what do you think about the format? At least 1 out of the 2 nights you get a chance to start in the front 2 rows in your heat race.
Yeah. I mean, it's we've all tried to figure out a way, sitting around and talking, and tried to figure out a way to maybe help the guys that start last and get up through there, and you have a good heat race. But there's not really a good way to do it because there's so many cars.
Well, you're rewarded. With your starting position in whatever main you qualify for by how many cars you passed. So if you did work your way up, if you picked up some passing points along the way, chances are pretty good in that D feature. You're going to be starting all the D feature qualifiers. They grid those guys and they look at their performance in the heat races. So that helps you out a little bit. That's something they didn't do the first couple of years.
Yeah, the first couple of years that had been pretty tough. For anybody. And I think luckily last year we started 2nd in the D feature and won that. Then, started at the back of the C and got 3rd, started at the back of the B, ran 4th, started at the back of the A, and I want to say we either finished 6th or 7th, and we were locked in and didn't have to do anything on Saturday.
And the cool thing about it is what people don't realize sometimes, for every feature you move up, the competition gets just a little bit tougher.
Yeah, it does. That D and the C weren't too hard, but then I started getting to that B, and it was like, man, this gets tough. And when I got out of the car after the B feature, and we knew that we were starting in the A, bottom line was, if I don't finish in the top 8, everything that I just did that night was kind of for nothing. I mean, I still get some points and stuff like that, but it make your life easy on Saturday morning and Saturday afternoon. You can just watch the races and relax and try and get ready for that feature come Sunday.
With all those cars you passed, did you get any type of hard charger money or anything like that, a free tire or something?
No, I just got an attaboy. So luckily we were able to get up through there and lock it in, and I think I got an extra beer from the push truck crew.
All right.
After the races. races, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Hydration before the feature.
You got the one Dan was supposed to get.
yeah, I did.
I was kind of wondering about that. How did you have that many tires in the car? You said that every time you pulled off for the feature, you just put a new tire on it. Did you run out of tires and have to recycle?
No, we did run out of fuel, though. We had to borrow fuel from I want to say Zach Blurton gave us 5 gallons of fuel for that B feature because we didn't have any time to run down to the fuel trailer and get any. But we had some set of tires staggered up and set with tire pressure on kind of where we thought we needed to be.
Special tires.
And where we wanted
Staggered just right.
Tires and where we wanted to kind of go as the track kept getting a little bit slicker and slicker, and luckily it paid off and it put us in the main event.
So plans for this year, you're going to win night number 1, and you're going to sit back and relax for the rest of the time.
Well, man, I hope so, but we're going to have to find something. Hell, last week I didn't even make the feature.
We talked about how tough that weekly competition is down there.
I mean, we've ran my car a handful of times with a 305 in it. I think we've only ran it twice at Eagle, and everywhere else we've ran it, we've done really well with it. We've been struggling both those times that we took it back to Eagle. So the plan is just to pull the motor out of my car and slide it down in between the frame rails of Roger's car and run that thing. We've had some good runs with it there at Eagle, and hopefully, like you said, we just go ahead, lock the thing in, win night 1, and then not have to do anything till Sunday.
So and help me with this, because you've been running the 5 at Eagle on weekly, and you've been doing fairly well. Like you said, you qualified for the feature. You've been getting top 10s, top 5s here and there, make it to the podium every once in a while.
Yeah.
But if you switch over to the 23S, your normal car, can you carbon copy that setup, or is it a different chassis that requires a different type of setup?
Well, with the car that I've got now is a CS9 out of California, and we're just trying to find a good baseline setup for it right now. We haven't ran it a whole lot, and some of the tracks that we went to, a good older setup that we had worked, and we ran well with it. But Eagle's just kind of a technical nightmare racetrack, and it's hard to try and find something with a chassis right out of the gate that's going to work.
Are you talking about its personality?
Yeah, it has a hell of a personality. It's like we always see at the Nationals. There's a whole lot of the Eagle regulars that are locked in on Sunday or get into the feature on Sunday. And there's a whole lot of out of towners that are sitting.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
it's just a tough place.
Well, you're going to get that number 5 out this week, and you kind of alluded to it a little bit. You're going to be racing the number 5 chassis with your 305 in it, and hopefully that'll bring you some better luck.
Yeah, let's hope it does. I'm kind of excited. We were able, luckily, to find a 360 motor for Friday night, so it kind of made sense. We pulled the 305 out and dropped the 360 in, and then dropped my 305 in the 5 car last night. So I don't know. Hopefully we can get that 5 car a little more horsepower under the hood. Maybe I got a little bit more talent in my pocket now from running Friday night and going a little bit faster to where we can get that thing up front come Saturday and get us some kind of momentum going into next week.
So Thursday's practice night is going to be very important for you.
Well, we're still tossing that around. We're thinking we'll probably be out there because we're going to have to go through pre-tech and all that stuff. So you might see us out there for at least one set.
Well, there's just one more thing left for you to do. Just going to have to go out there and win the whole thing.
The whole friggin' thing?
Yeah, or something like that. I didn't want to get the lug wrench or the impact wrench.
The impact wrench sound effect?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's we need to do that. I've been wanting to win that race, and I've been somewhat successful in the 305 stuff, really good in the 360. But damn it, I want to win that show because it's an event. It's not really a race. It's a big event, and it's something you definitely like to check off the list.
All right, buddy, we appreciate your time. Keep that wife of yours happy, and we'll see you out at Eagle Raceway for a big 3 days of racing.
That sounds good, guys. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thanks,
All
Stu.
right.
Have a good
Thanks,
one.
Stu.
Thanks, Stu.
Thank you.
And again, you'll see him possibly Thursday, maybe for one run during the practice sessions on Thursday, but he'll definitely be out there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for the big 3 days of the RaceSaver Nationals. Stu Snyder going to be driving the number 5, so hopefully coming out of a lot better starting position than he has the last 2 years.
There you go.
All right, we're going to take a break. Jason Martin's going to be just around the corner, and then we announce the latest and the final 5-week contest for the Crewman For A Day at Kansas Speedway in October. You're going to get a chance to win the passes to go down and job shadow the 00 of StarComm Racing, and possibly even the 99 if they run a second car that weekend.
Wasn't it just like last week we announced the first contest this year?
Doesn't it seem like that?
Man.
Thanks a lot for joining us, Stan. We'll be back in turn number 3 to sit down with Jason Martin, the defending champion of the RaceSaver Nationals.
Sounds great.
We'll be back on the front stretch.
We all have that coworker that runs their mouth off at how great they are. They shot a 5 under par, 95-mile-an-hour fastball, bench press 375, brah. Wouldn't you love to shut them up by schooling them at Joe's Karting? Council Bluffs' premier indoor karting track, professionally designed so each corner is your opportunity to embarrass your coworker. Call Buddy for your next company outing at 712-256-5278. Joe's Karting, white knuckle racing just across the river on 23rd Avenue next to AMC 17.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Quaker Steak and Lube is the official watering hole for the front stretch and the best place to catch all the NASCAR action today. Open at 11 a.m. with delivery available to Council Bluffs.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Feather the brake and get back to the gas. Dan and Dirk are headed into turn 3 on the front stretch.
Welcome back to the front stretch. Rolling into turn number 3, and it's time to continue our RaceSaver Nationals 2018 preview with the 2017 champion. You ran it several times, Jason, but last year you were finally able to get that monkey off your back and get the win.
Yeah, we've been really consistent with top 5 finishes. We've just had bad luck. The first couple of years we had a nose wing or top wing fall out of the sky in front of us and take our nose wing out, and had a flat tire leading it the next year and had a little motor issue one year. But we've been right there in the top 5, and I can't complain. We've had really good success there, and it seems like our stuff rolls around there pretty good, so I'm just looking forward to getting going again.
Going into this, let's take a step back and kind of remind everybody how your year went last year. It is kind of a survival of the fittest. You really can't take a break any of the laps because you get passed by 2 cars and all of a sudden you go from the B feature to the D feature.
Yeah, the way the format is, it's really tough on your qualifying night. If you don't win your heat race, you're not in the first 10 cars in the feature, so you got to race your way in if you run second in your heat race. So we got lucky enough or fortunate enough last year that we went from the back of our heat race and won. So we started right up there in the front of the feature and got the win. So we started right there on the pole of the A on Sunday. So that was a hard feat to do, but just thankful that everybody supports me to be able to do that.
It was worth it in the long run, right?
Yeah, I mean it's tough. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Those heat races are probably I just told my wife the other day that not to take anything from any other racing around, but running a heat race at a weekly show at Eagle is almost as important and seems like it's as challenging as an outlaw race. The way the outlaw guys race, they race so hard, and if you're not on point on the first lap and every lap after that, you're not going to get to the front starting in the back. With the inversion that they have and the caliber of cars that race there weekly, that's not even to mention what's coming here next week, So
especially the fact that the way that the format is, if you miss 2 weeks, you lose your points average. So then you're going to be starting at the back. And I know you've had kind of a periodic schedule, doing a lot of 360 racing this year and a lot of 305 racing at different area tracks and stuff like that, and haven't been at Eagle. And when you do drop in, you miss a couple weeks, so you always have to start at the back, kind of like our deal. And it's pretty darn tough.
Yeah, it is. Whenever when you race there weekly and you're fast, you still got to start at the back, or if you miss a few races, you got to start even a row farther back. So it's one of them deals, but it makes you a good driver, and that's why the talent level has increased so much. I mean, people can call it 305 racing all they want, but this is sprint car racing, and the drivers that are out there and the guys that are coming here the next week they're some of the best in the country. I mean, there's guys from California. Kevin Ramey from Texas. You just look everywhere you look. There's guys from Indiana. There's guys from South Dakota. And just everywhere you go, everywhere you look, they're all going to be good. So, you got John Carney coming from Texas, and I don't know whoever else. So, but it's just another race car at the end of the day, and you got to just drive by them. But it's one of them deals. You just got to make sure you got all your stuff right, and you go from there.
Every area of the country is going to send their Jason Martin.
I don't know about that, but they're going to send the best of the best. There's good, like I said, there's good guys coming from all over the country. So that's what's so neat about this race. We have probably the most fun at this event just because the people are a whole different level. They might have been 360 guys, or there might have been some guys that's been racing for a while, but the atmosphere between the racers is just a big friendship. I mean, everybody's there just for the race, but you go and afterwards you go to the tiki bar and you have a few drinks and you hang out and everybody just has a good time. And so everybody always talks about the
melon bar.
The melon bar.
Yeah, we might have had one or two of those last year.
We lightened the load just a little bit.
Yeah, there was a little bit of that went on there, especially Sunday night after the races. We had quite a few.
The parity you talked about it in the 305 division because of the rules, and it brings out the best drivers are still going to win, the best setup is still going to win, the best shock package. That's what makes it so tough, because everybody's getting up on their game, and everybody's very equal. So that's why you have to race so hard, whether you're coming from the back or if you're starting on the pole. You got to don't look back.
Yeah, right now it's probably as high of intensity as it ever has with the 305 deal, just because the motors are all pretty good, and you don't just have a better motor like in the 360 deal. You can have a better motor, than say 4 out of 5 guys in your heat race or 6 out of 10 guys in your heat race. You can have a better motor, but in that deal, a $10,000 motor or a $30,000 motor, they're all going to run pretty much the same, So that just makes every little bit of shock stuff more important. That makes every little bit of car stuff more important. And then driver better just not step on it, at the end of the day.
I got to imagine that because of how fast you could fall back in the features, Friday is probably a very important night. And then if you don't have a good qualifying night on Friday, Saturday becomes incredibly stressful.
Fortunately, I haven't had to worry about Saturday, so I can't say that. But as far as the stress level goes, my wife's, I slept in a chair last night. I'll just be honest. I got home at 11:30 or 12 o'clock from working at the race shop, and I fell asleep in the chair, and she just said, "You're staying there." And I woke up at 5 o'clock. So I don't sleep very much here the next couple of weeks, and I have not slept very well afterwards just because we've lost some races, and I take it pretty hard. So and even after we won, it was pretty exciting.
And you've been so close, like you mentioned at the beginning of the interview, so close so many times that you finally winning it last year had to just be incredibly gratifying.
Yeah, it's a huge weight lifted off your shoulders. I got so many people that I got to thank really to help get me to that point. And those guys are all looking at me, or people, my wife, my kids, whoever it may be, fans in the stands, they're like, well, how come you haven't won that? Well, man, we've been right there. It's not for lack of trying. We just haven't been able to get it done. And last year, everything fell into place. The racetrack was perfect for our situation. I mean, it was come feature time, it was just hammer down and let her rip around the top. And in our heat race, it was slick where you had to be really good, and we got to go to the front. So it's one of them deals. You can win some and you lose some. And I know Donnie Schatz and them guys always said that winning the first Knoxville Nationals was the hardest one. The second one is a little bit easier because you've already won the first one, but I don't think it's going to be any easier, to be honest.
That could be bad news for the rest of us, I think.
Well, that's the plan. You go every year planning that you're going to win the thing. So I don't want to walk away from there without that belt. I mean, that's all. I just sent a text message to all my crew guys and sponsors this week and just sent them a picture of that belt.
Got to have that belt, and that is really cool with the picture of you standing down in victory lane with that belt, and you could see. I mean, there was quite a bit of pride holding that baby up.
Yeah, my little one, he still wants to carry that thing around. He just thinks it's pretty cool. So, yeah, just the whole event, the way that the fans really support it, the opening ceremonies on Sunday night, with the laser show and all the the lights and fireworks, and it's just an event. It's not so much a race, it's an event, and it's a marquee event that people, obviously you got 115 cars coming, and I don't care if it's Husker game day or not, you're still going to have a packed crowd Saturday night and Sunday.
Stan kind of talked about it a little bit at the beginning of the interview, that this year you've been running your 360 a little bit more, and you've been running your 305 at other tracks. Haven't had a lot of time at Eagle. Do you think that puts you a little bit behind the 8 ball?
Actually, no, I don't think so. I think that the weekly situation at Eagle is a little different than what it is during the Nationals. They have so many narrow-tired cars there that the racetrack, I think I've only ran there 3 times this year, and it's just been rough and chopped up a little bit. And the modifieds and the narrow-tired cars, hobby stocks, they rough up the racetrack like it doesn't happen at the Nationals. So I'm not too concerned about it. I feel like we got a good package there. Just go there and do what you always done, and we'll see how it plays out.
You've had a pretty successful 2018 racing the RaceSaver car, even though not quite as often at Eagle Raceway. But talk about the rest of your season. Picked up a lot of wins up at Jackson, Minnesota, and wherever you decided to go. Had 2 good runs down at Belleville, and so I mean, it's not like you're lacking any in the 305 game.
Right. Yeah. No, we've had a very successful season. I can't complain one bit. We started out the year saying we're going to try to run the whole Nebraska 360 sprint deal just because of the car count's kind of dwindling and some guys aren't wanting to support it. But I wanted to try to support that deal to make sure that they had, racers there and sponsors that wanted to keep coming on board and what have you. So we've run the whole deal there. So we've been fortunate enough that all these racetracks up north run the 305s as well. So I take the 305 along. We run 2 cars a lot of nights. There were some nights there that I think we ran 11 weekends in a row, and there was one weekend that we ran 1 car. So it was 2 cars one night, maybe 2 cars the next night, and we got twice as many races in as everybody else. So that's an advantage on its own.
305 picks up a little spare change, get some gas money, get you back home.
My wife says that's the only one that makes any money. No, I mean, I really got to thank Craig Myers for helping out with the engine program. That's one thing that he just wants to win the Nationals, and Myers Racing Engines, those guys do an awesome job with their motors. We took that thing back and got it rebuilt there after Belleville and just got her tuned up a little bit so it's nice and fresh, and they got it right back to me. So we're going to go run it tomorrow night up there at Park Jefferson and just make sure it's all shaken down, and we'll see what we got for next week.
Well, that's bad news for the rest of the competition as Jason Martin looks to go 2 in a row for the RaceSaver Nationals. You'll see him this Thursday. You going to go down Thursday for practice?
Yeah, we have the Race of Champions heat races on Thursday night, so which is a little different format, and that's fine with me. I think it kind of spreads it out, and we don't have to have so much stress on ourselves.
It was an awful late night. It was an awful late night last year on that Friday night, plus you didn't have a very good racetrack. Yeah,
it was pretty narrow, and I don't mind it being narrow and slick, but it just got to be so late, and come feature time for the Race of Champions feature, it was pretty narrow. So I think it'll be a lot better situation, and it gives the fans something to come out for another night of racing. So
it's free to get in Thursday night for the Jake Ida Race of Champions qualifying races, and then we come back Friday for first set of qualifying, Saturday for second set of qualifying, Sunday's championship with final qualifying. A lot of racing to go.
Yeah, it's very important. You got to be in the top 9 on the first night, and that's our goal. We just want to be in the first 3 rows, and hopefully we're not 8th, because then you're right smack in the middle of the 3-wide start. But I got to say kudos to all the racers that's done that in the past. It's been caution-free, and it's really exciting. Knock on wood, Stan says. So, it's really cool. I mean, you just you go get in the top 9, and let's see what we can do from Sunday.
All right, good luck. We'll see you there at Eagle Raceway for the RaceSaver Nationals. Thanks, Jason.
Thanks a lot.
Good luck.
So that was Jason Martin, driver of the number 5. You'll see him coming up this Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at the RaceSaver Nationals at Eagle Raceway. Stan, after we got done talking with Jason Martin, we were kind of going into doing our duties for I-80 Speedway for the Speedy Bill Smith, and then kind of surprising news, Dennis Parker, president of the Nebraska 360s, decided to resign his post as president of the sanctioning body at the conclusion of the 2018 race season.
Well, Dennis, he's one of the first guys that jumped on board. The last 2 years the 360s raced down at Eagle Raceway, we had a kind of a loosely knit advisory group or panel or whatever you want to call it. Dennis Parker, Randy Palmer, myself, Doug Lovegrove, Terry Holloman, guys that have been around the sport forever, kind of worked with the drivers and kind of was the mediator between the track and the racers, and went out, got some sponsorship money, and had a couple really strong years. But the handwriting was on the wall that it was awful tough for those guys to race weekly, and there was not that many new guys getting involved in the sport because of the cost the engines, what the engines had progressed to a little bit. You can argue all day long about what's right, what's wrong, what's the best, et cetera, et cetera. But Dennis was one of the guys, when they formed that group, he took the bull by the horns, did a great job for the last 5-6 years, but boy, and just in the last couple of years, it's turned into a thankless job.
And I think that's something that a lot of people that are listening to the show and that come to the races, it looks easy. When you see what the Haydens do, the Kaziskis do, when you see what the promoters, the officials do at the racetracks, it looks easy, and especially the sanctioning bodies. I know that Dennis worked tirelessly to find new sponsorship, to find new racetracks, to promote and get new drivers to come into the series.
And to work with other sanctioning bodies to try to ensure what they're selling to those promoters and tracks and stuff like that is going to be a really good product. No one can doubt the quality of the racing and the competitiveness of the racing. But, a lot of times people look at numbers. Sometimes the numbers weren't quite there. I know it was awful frustrating for Dennis. They worked hard and got their schedules out early, and it seemed like there were always scheduling conflicts before year's end, and then we'd have, or they would have. I haven't been involved for the last couple of years, but other than just being a friend and giving my opinion whenever it's asked, but talking to the drivers, what do you want? What do you? This is your group. What do you want to do? And how many races do you want to run? And so Dennis went out and got the races booked. They got additional purse money. They bolstered the back end of the field to try to get the guys that are going to be toward the end of the field that maybe wouldn't show up otherwise if they didn't think it was worth their while. And they got all that done. I got a feel for Dennis because he tried really hard, and I know he was really frustrated and didn't know where we go from here. And I think it was just time to take a break.
Absolutely, and I think it's important for fans to understand that there is a good chance that the Nebraska 360 Sprint Series will be in action in 2019, just not having Dennis Parker as the president.
I wish Dennis the best of luck, and I know he's going to enjoy the races. I know he's been under a lot of pressure, and I know I know it's probably a really tough decision for him to make, because this has been his baby.
Well, I saw the look on his face when Joe pulled him out of the Nebraska 360 trailer when they made the announcement, and you could tell it was a tough decision.
Yeah.
Dennis is an old school boy, doesn't like to show emotions. He's kind of a gruffly old man. Yeah. I often call him Sunshine just to tease him, but you could tell this was a very difficult decision for him. We could go on talking about this for a long time. We'll cover it more in the offseason. Maybe we'll get Dennis on to talk, and he'll share his sunshine ways.
Yeah.
But we got to take a break, and we got to get into the rest of the show. Turn 4 just around the corner. We're going to announce our final 5-week contest for the day. You're going to get a chance to go down and be a crewman for a day at Kansas Speedway. We'll be back on the front stretch.
Hey, look at that. You're sitting on your couch playing Halo, Madden, or NASCAR while your friends are at Joe's Karting. Each lap is an adrenaline-filled, heart-pumping, white-knuckle experience that you can only get at the Metro's largest indoor karting track. Eco-friendly Honda engines rip you around their professionally designed road course at breakneck speeds. Can you reach the 14-second lap bracket? There's only one way to find out. Put the controller down and get to Joe's Karting, 23rd Avenue in Council Bluffs next to Quaker Steak and Lube.
It's checkers or wreckers as we enter turn 4 on the front stretch, presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs.
Welcome back to the front stretch. Just about ready to wrap this baby up. Brought to you by Quaker Steak and Lube, the official watering hole of the front stretch. Get over to Quaker Steak and Lube. The bike nights and classic car nights kind of wrapping up a little bit, but classic car night will continue on as long as the weather holds out. And they've got a big giveaway coming up this week, as they are going to be giving away that giant Napa toolbox to one lucky fan. So all you got to do is go out, sign up, and you could win that giant toolbox. Thing's worth like $1,800. Beautiful blue toolbox going on this Thursday at Quaker Steak and Lube. And as always, great food, great beer specials, and MAP TV is on the big screens in the Brickyard. And if you're really nice and maybe buy 2 or 3 lube tubes, they'll turn the sound on so you can hear the call for all the late model action on MAP TV. No race to preview today, but we got a big announcement as we have finally locked down the details for our final 5-week contest of the year. If you're new to the show, we've gained a lot of new listeners over the last couple of weeks, so we had some great content. So run through it again. It's a NASCAR fantasy league that is based off of NASCAR Championship driver points for the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series. All you got to do is pick the 5 drivers you think are going to do best between the race coming up next weekend at Dover and the race that ends at the...
next weekend at Darlington, and the race ends in Dover.
Right.
And that's not 5 drivers a race. It's 1 driver per race.
Right, and it's 1 driver in the entire 5 race span. So you can only pick a driver once, and you only pick 1 driver per weekend. Going into Charlotte Roval, that's going to be a giant question mark, because while you want to pick your road course regulars that are really good, Brad Keselowski, Kyle Busch, Jimmy Johnson has been good, Martin Truex Jr. has been coming on lately into the road courses, we don't know what to expect at the Charlotte Roval.
Well, that, and this year we were able to get things put together a little quicker. Last year we didn't know till the end, and we had to use Talladega. So we're quitting the week before Talladega is the last race with Dover, so you don't have 2 flip a coin races in the whole deal.
Absolutely.
Like I said, the Roval will be 1, but the other races all have a lot of history with Darlington and Dover.
And it's really, really simple. It's free to play thanks to Rick Haven Ridge of Wealth Partners, a subsidiary or a financial advisory company to Ameriprise. But you'll be able to be in this contest for free. Make your pick each weekend. You can pick all 5 if you want to ahead of time. Some people just like to get it out of the way. They know the drivers that are good. And then when you come up to that weekend, if your driver's struggling, that driver you picked is struggling in practice and qualifying, you think, you know, they missed it this weekend, so I can switch my pick. As long as you don't pick a driver you've already picked, you're good to go. And if you score the most amount of points by the end of the contest to wrap it up, October 7th at Dover, then you're going to win 2 garage passes to Kansas Speedway, to Job Shadow, basically Job Shadow, StarComm Racing, and that 00 team on Friday and Saturday and Sunday. And by Job Shadow, I mean sitting with the team, eating their food, grabbing a couple of Gatorades or Powerades, whatever their sponsor is, watching as they push the car in and out of the garage, helping them push it through tech. You'll be able to see that OSS system right up and personal and be able to ask any questions through Dirk and I, because we'll be kind of showing you around too. You'll also be able to go on pit road during practice, qualifying, and the race, and you'll be able to sit on the War Wagon, the pit box, during the race with team radios, and you'll be able to listen as the driver, spotter, and crew chief interact and kind of strategize as that race is winding down.
Yeah, it's quite the weekend. It's a real eye-opener. Again, this is our 3rd year of running the contest. People that have won and have got to participate in this said it's just such an eye-opener. It's incredible. And they say, you know, a couple of them have bought season tickets since then, but the others have said, I'm never going to sit in the grandstands again.
Right.
If I can't come down here, I'm not coming.
And you'll get like these garage passes. You're not just stuck to the StarComm team. If there's a downtime, which there is for the Cup Series every once in a while, when the Xfinity's on the track or another series is on the track doing their stuff, Cup Series may be down not doing anything, so you're able to walk over and to the other haulers. Maybe you could run into Jimmy Johnson and Kevin Harvick and Martin Truex Jr. Maybe you can go down to the other garages for the Companion Series that weekend, and you can introduce yourself to some of those drivers, and you can get autographs and get hero cards signed. You're getting an exposure that, honestly, the only other way to do it is to bring $250,000 to $400,000 in sponsorship dollars to a team and say, I want to be a sponsor of your team, and then you can go down and do this kind of stuff. Otherwise, the fan walks, you can't buy this stuff as a fan.
Now, they do get 2 grandstand tickets for Saturday's Xfinity race. Is that correct?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Yep. No tickets for Sunday because we're going to pass those on to somebody else. But they absolutely get tickets. And excuse me, I think you do get tickets. You can pass them on to a friend for that Sunday. If you don't need them, we'll send them on down to 6th place. But that brings me to our next point. 2nd place to 5th place all gets a pair of tickets to each race at Kansas Speedway that weekend. So you're going to get to be in the grandstands and watch all that stuff. And then if you happen to fall in that 6th or 7th or 8th place, don't fret. You may not actually be out. I mean, like we talked about with you, with one of the prizes you won of these contests. We did one of these contests before you were a host of the show, and first, second, and third couldn't take it, and it ended up falling right back to you.
Well, I was like 7th and still got the first place prize.
Yeah, you'd fallen out of the lead on the final race because of a bad wreck early on. And
some guy named Jimmy Johnson.
That was the start of all, wasn't it? That was the start of it all. But you lucked right back into it, and you still got to take the prizes. So just because you don't finish in the top 5 doesn't mean you're not going to get anything. Those prizes will continue to fall on down.
Now, you have to be 18 years of age. Mm-hmm. That's not anything to do with us. That has to do with the Speedway for, I'm sure insurance reasons.
Oh, yeah.
But you got to be 18 years of age. You, if you're part of the weekly contest now, you still need to sign up special for the 5-week contest. Again, you pick one driver a week, can't pick the same guy 2 times, and you get the points they score. If they're penalized per illegal rear window, anything,
unapproved adjustments,
anything, you get that penalty too. So if your driver only wins the race, sweeps the race, and only gets 30 points, he got a heck of a penalty. But believe me, this stuff will bounce around so quick. Like we were talking recently about the guy that's leading the season-long contest who had this huge lead and is now not leading anymore.
Right.
He's had a few bad weeks. So and like I said, I was leading one of these. It wasn't one of these contests. It was a different one. I led the first 4 weeks and had a solid lead, and then I picked a guy that got 2 points.
And that hurt.
And that hurt. That took me from 1st to 7th, and I had like a 10-point lead.
And that happens. I'll tell you, it's always fun to watch this from the administrator side of it because I'm watching as these points are all rolling out. And the first week, we'll usually have a 20-way tie for first. And then it'll trim down. It'll be a 12-way tie for first. And then it will trim down again. And it just keeps trimming down. And almost everybody in that contest has a bad week. And so even if it's only 5 weeks, even if you have one bad week, you could still bounce back and win the contest.
Well, and now a bad week could be winning 2 segments for 20 points and then getting last in the race.
Yeah.
So you still got 21 points, which is going to be more points than some other people get in that contest day.
Absolutely.
So the stage points have really changed this up the last couple of years.
Here's the way you get signed up. Send us an email, frontstretchradio@gmail.com. Frontstretchradio@gmail.com. Send us over that information, and we'll gladly get you signed up. And once again, it's absolutely free to sign up for this and to participate in it. Thanks to Rick Havenridge of Wealth Partners, a financial advisory practice of Ameriprise Services. You can find more information on Rick at truewealthpartners.com. And thanks to Kansas Speedway for donating those tickets into the Hollywood Casino 400. And then also to StarComm Racing, who's going to be the team we're going to be partnering with. Like we said, thanks to Rick Havenridge. It's an absolutely free contest to join. Just send us an email, frontstretchradio@gmail.com, and we'll get you signed up for that. It's all administered through an online site that will get you hooked up and get you connected to, but it's easy to do and a lot of fun. Got to say a big thank you to Stan Cisar, Stu Snyder, and Jason Martin for helping us preview the RaceSaver Nationals coming up this Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at Eagle Raceway. And what a big day Sunday is. Sunday night NASCAR at Darlington, Sunday night RaceSaver Championship night at Eagle Raceway, and Sunday night championship night for the NASCAR Weekly Points at I-80 Speedway. So this coming Sunday morning, we're going to be live again. So make sure you join us for that. We will review the first 2 nights of the RaceSaver Nationals with Stan Cisar. We'll get you set for Sunday's action. We'll also preview Sunday night's Championship Sunday at I-80 Speedway, and we'll get you set for Darlington Raceway, plus one more reminder to get set up for the 5-week contest.
That Darlington race is one of my... First time I went there, it was just unreal.
I really love how they're doing this throwback stuff.
They've been doing it for a couple years now.
You're starting to see all the throwback schemes being released, and they're doing some really, really cool stuff. All right, that's going to do it for us today. Thank you to Joe's Karting for presenting the front stretch, and thank you to you for listening. For Dirk Houston, I'm Dan Taylor. We'll do it again next weekend live. Thanks to Archer Purdue Auto Sales. This has been the front stretch on AM 590, Omaha's ESPN Radio.
Every race car driver has run into the same problem. It's well past normal parts store closing hours, but you need that one to finish your car. The guys who brought you White Knuckle Racing by the River bring you Joe's Karting Racing Parts and Tire Store. Open until 10 p.m. Monday to Thursday and open until 11 p.m. on Friday and Saturday. A parts store that fits your after-hours schedule, and you can turn a few laps at Joe's Karting while you're waiting for your part to get pulled from their warehouse. Joe'sKarting.com for more information.
The official watering hole of the front stretch has you covered any day of the week with the best wings, great burgers, and amazing steaks. Each weekday from 4 to 6 is happy hour, featuring $1 off draft and well drinks plus $4 Luberitas. Mondays are kids' night. Tuesdays are all-you-can-eat wings for $12.95, and the lube even delivers to the Council Bluffs area. Like Quaker Steak and Lube Council Bluffs on Facebook for a full list of weekly events.
Get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Mid-America Drive, Council Bluffs.
This has been the Front Stretch Radio Show, presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs. To contact Dan or Dirk, find them on Facebook at The Front Stretch or email them at frontstretch590@gmail.com. If you missed any part of today's show or want to hear a previous show, subscribe to the Joe's Karting YouTube page, where you can find almost every Front Stretch show.